Vladimir Putin's rise to power is a story of opportunity and ambition. Born in Leningrad, now known as St. Petersburg, Putin's early life was marked by the hardships of post-war Soviet Union. His journey began in the shadowy corridors of the KGB, where he served as an intelligence officer in East Germany during the 1980s. This period was crucial in shaping his worldview and honing his skills in espionage and statecraft. A former KGB agent, Putin ascended through the ranks of Russian politics during a time of turmoil and uncertainty. The 1990s were a decade of dramatic change for Russia, marked by the dissolution of the Soviet Union and the chaotic transition to a market economy. Putin's entry into politics coincided with this turbulent era, providing him with the perfect backdrop to leverage his intelligence background and strategic acumen. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, Russia grappled with economic instability and political upheaval. The country faced hyperinflation, widespread poverty, and a significant decline in living standards. The political landscape was equally unstable, with frequent changes in government and a power struggle between the presidency and the parliament. Amidst this chaos, Putin's methodical and disciplined approach stood out. Putin, with his background in intelligence and his reputation for decisiveness, emerged as a figure of stability. His ability to navigate the complex political terrain and his no-nonsense attitude earned him the trust of key figures in the Russian government. His rise was not just a result of his own ambition, but also a reflection of the desperate need for a strong leader who could restore order. He quickly rose through the ranks, becoming prime minister in 1999 and then president in 2000. His appointment as prime minister by then-president Boris Yeltsin was a strategic move, positioning him as the heir apparent. When Yeltsin unexpectedly resigned on December 31, 1999, Putin stepped into the role of acting president, and his subsequent election in March 2000 solidified his position. Putin's early presidency was marked by a focus on restoring order and consolidating power. He implemented a series of reforms aimed at stabilizing the economy, strengthening the central government, and curbing the influence of oligarchs who had amassed significant power during the 1990s. His approach was both pragmatic and authoritarian, reflecting his belief in a strong centralized state. He cracked down on dissent, centralized control over the media, and reasserted the government's authority over key industries. These measures were part of a broader strategy to eliminate potential threats to his rule and to ensure that the state maintained control over critical sectors of the economy. While these actions were effective in consolidating his power, they also raised concerns about the erosion of democratic freedoms. These actions were met with mixed reactions, with some praising Putin for bringing stability and others criticizing him for eroding democratic institutions. Supporters argued that his strong leadership was necessary to pull Russia out of its post-Soviet malaise, while critics contended that his authoritarian tendencies undermined the democratic gains made in the 1990s. However, Putin's popularity soared in the early 2000s as Russia's economy rebounded, fueled by rising oil prices. The economic boom led to improved living standards and a sense of national pride, further bolstering his image as a competent and effective leader. The newfound economic stability provided a stark contrast to the chaos of the previous decade, and many Russians credited Putin for this turnaround. He projected an image of strength and competence, contrasting sharply with the perceived weakness of his predecessor, Boris Yeltsin. Yeltsin's tenure had been marred by health issues, erratic behavior, and a lack of control over the oligarchs. In contrast, Putin's disciplined and controlled demeanor reassured many Russians that the country was in capable hands. Putin's grip on power solidified, and he became the undisputed leader of Russia. His ability to maintain control over the political landscape, suppress opposition, and manage the economy effectively ensured that there were few serious challenges to his authority. This period of consolidation laid the groundwork for his long-term dominance in Russian politics. This period set the stage for Putin's long reign, shaping the political landscape and setting the tone for the succession battles that would eventually emerge. As he continued to strengthen his hold on power, questions about his eventual successor and the future direction of Russia became increasingly pertinent. It is within this context that we must examine the potential candidates vying to succeed Putin and the forces that will shape Russia's future. The legacy of his leadership, the structures he has put in place, and the challenges facing the country will all play a crucial role in determining the next chapter of Russia's history. Vladimir Putin's reign has been one of the longest in Russian history, spanning over 2 decades. His tenure has seen significant changes in the political landscape of Russia, with his influence permeating every aspect of governance and society. During this time, he has reshaped Russia's political system, consolidated power, and reasserted the country's position on the world stage. His leadership has been characterized by a strategic approach to both domestic and international affairs, ensuring that Russia remains a key player in global politics. Putin's rule has been marked by a combination of authoritarianism and populism, appealing to a deep-seated desire for order and stability among many Russians. This blend has allowed him to maintain a strong grip on power, while also garnering widespread public support. One of Putin's key strategies has been to centralize power in the Kremlin. By doing so, he has ensured that all major decisions are made at the highest levels of government, reducing the influence of regional authorities and other potential rivals. He has weakened regional governors, stripping them of much of their autonomy and bringing them under the direct control of the central government. This move has effectively neutralized any potential threats to his authority from within the country. Additionally, Putin has brought the media under state control, ensuring that the narrative presented to the public aligns with his administration's goals and policies. This control over information has been crucial in maintaining his image and suppressing dissent. He has also cracked down on opposition groups, using a combination of legal and extra-legal measures to silence critics and prevent the rise of any significant political challengers. This has included the arrest and imprisonment of prominent opposition figures, as well as the suppression of protests and demonstrations. This consolidation of power has allowed Putin to rule with little effective opposition, effectively silencing dissenting voices. His administration has created an environment where political dissent is not tolerated, and those who oppose him face severe consequences. Furthermore, Putin has cultivated a cult of personality, presenting himself as the indispensable leader of a resurgent Russia. This image has been carefully crafted and maintained through state-controlled media and public appearances. State-controlled media portrays him as a strong and decisive figure, capable of restoring Russia to its former glory. This portrayal has resonated with many Russians who see him as a stabilizing force in a world that is often chaotic and unpredictable. This image has resonated with many Russians, particularly those who felt humiliated by the Soviet Union's collapse and Russia's subsequent decline. For these individuals, Putin represents a return to national pride and strength. However, Putin's rule has not been without its critics. His authoritarian tendencies, human rights abuses, and foreign policy adventures have drawn condemnation from the West and alienated some segments of Russian society. Internationally, his actions have led to sanctions and strained relations with many countries. His authoritarian tendencies, human rights abuses, and foreign policy adventures have drawn condemnation from the West and alienated some segments of Russian society. Despite this, Putin has managed to maintain a significant level of support within Russia, leveraging nationalism and economic stability to bolster his position. Nevertheless, Putin remains a popular figure among many Russians, and his legacy will continue to shape the country's future long after he leaves office. His impact on Russia's political system, society, and international standing will be felt for generations to come, making him one of the most influential leaders in modern Russian history. The question of who will succeed Vladimir Putin has been a topic of intense speculation for years. As Putin's grip on power has tightened, the space for open discussion about succession has shrunk. However, behind the scenes, a complex power struggle is playing out among various factions and potential heirs apparent. The stakes are high, as the next leader of Russia will inherit a country facing significant challenges both domestically and internationally. Economic stagnation, social inequality, and growing international isolation are just some of the issues that will confront Putin's successor. Several potential candidates have emerged as potential successors, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. These individuals represent different factions within the Russian elite, reflecting the diverse power structures that have coalesced around Putin. Some are seen as loyalists who would continue Putin's policies, while others are viewed as potential reformers who might seek a different path for Russia. The succession process in Russia is opaque and unpredictable, making it difficult to predict who will ultimately emerge victorious. However, by examining the key players and the forces at play, we can begin to understand the dynamics that will shape Russia's future leadership. One of the most powerful factions vying for influence in a post-Putin Russia is the Siloviki, a term used to describe individuals with backgrounds in the security services, intelligence agencies, and the military. These individuals have been deeply embedded in the fabric of Russian power structures for decades, often operating behind the scenes to shape policy and maintain control. These individuals rose to prominence during Putin's rule, leveraging their expertise and connections to secure key positions within the government and military. Benefiting from his focus on security and his trust in those with similar backgrounds. Putin's reliance on the Siloviki has been a cornerstone of his administration, ensuring loyalty and a unified approach to governance. The Siloviki are known for their hawkish views on foreign policy, often advocating for aggressive stances to protect and expand Russian interests. Their belief in a strong state, one that is capable of exerting its influence both domestically and internationally, and their willingness to use force to maintain order. This approach has been evident in their handling of internal dissent and external threats. They have played a key role in shaping Russia's assertive foreign policy in recent years, pushing for actions that demonstrate Russia's strength and resolve on the global stage, including the annexation of Crimea, a move that was widely condemned by the international community, but celebrated by many within Russia as a restoration of national pride. And the intervention in Syria, where Russian forces have been instrumental in supporting the Assad regime and countering Western influence in the region. Key figures within the Siloviki include Sergei Shoigu, the current Minister of Defense, who has been a prominent advocate for military modernization and expansion, and Nikolai Patrushev, the Secretary of the Security Council, known for his hardline views and significant influence over national security policies. These individuals wield considerable power and influence, often acting as the architects of Russia's strategic direction, and they are likely to play a significant role in any succession scenario. Their deep-rooted connections and control over key institutions make them pivotal players in the future of Russian politics. The Siloviki's dominance reflects a broader trend in Russian politics towards a more authoritarian and security-focused state. This trend has been marked by increased surveillance, suppression of dissent, and a focus on nationalistic rhetoric. Their continued influence in a post-Putin era could mean a continuation of Russia's current course, with a focus on maintaining internal stability and projecting power abroad. This could involve further military engagements and a steadfast approach to international diplomacy. Their policies are likely to prioritize the consolidation of power within the state, ensuring that any potential threats to their authority are swiftly dealt with a focus on maintaining internal stability and projecting power abroad. This dual approach aims to secure Russia's position as a dominant global player while safeguarding its internal political landscape. However, their hardline views could also lead to increased tensions with the West, as their strategies often clash with Western ideals of democracy and human rights, and further isolation on the international stage. This isolation could have significant economic and political repercussions, potentially limiting Russia's ability to engage with the global community on equal terms.